Welcome to Effervescent, where we embrace a full circle approach to health. We are going to do a mindful breath first, and then we're going to get started.
Okay. So for today's mindful breath, you can have your eyes open or closed and just take a normal inhale. Hold it at the top. And then on the exhale, think the words free and clear. Now, deep inhale. Hold for a moment at the top. And think the words free and clear. Exhale. Last time, the biggest breath you've taken all day. Deep inhale with a soft body. And then exhale, free and clear. So good.
Perfect. So in this episode, I really wanted to talk about walking. Physical, mental, spiritual walking. I feel like this is just a topic that needs to be explored more because there are so many routes that I could go with this and so many ways that it's health, right? I don't know if I want to start out with asking you guys I don't know, how often do you guys walk? Like go on walks,
Like
take
intentionally
walks.
walk.
Yeah.
I try to go, I would say I regularly go every 3 days, but I really try to go every day. But it's because I have a dog. And so I feel like that mom guilt of like, I need to go on a walk. It'll be interesting when I don't have a dog to be like, okay, how often do I walk?
That makes sense.
Bah, I wish I could answer it that well. I would say I'm all or nothing. I'm either in the mountains, like trail running, or at home. I'm not as good as I would like at just taking the quick walk because I've been in that pattern before, and I have so many benefits I noticed from it. And when I went to Europe and stayed there for about a month in Scotland in 2019, and all we could do was walk for a month, I realized how wonderful it was. And when I came home, I walked more because it was so great.
Yeah, it's like the walkable cities in Europe. Like there's actually a lot of ties to that of people being more healthy in like other countries is because of all the infrastructure that they have made around walking instead of using cars. And so that's been a big topic of conversation I've seen kind of in the more recent years is like, we don't have any walkable cities in the U.S., or at least like not as many as other places.
Well, they want them to be 15-minute cities. But in Italy, when I went to Italy, it was like, it's not just walking. It's like staircase on staircase on staircase up so high, and there's so many hills. But you see like old people out there just
walking because they're so
along.
Used to it, right? No, that's actually a good point, though, the walking cities. I feel like, I mean, your body just gets used to whatever you have to do in the day, right? And so this is actually a good segue into an article that I pulled up because this is what I saw. I was going to do this in my YouTube forever ago, and then I never talked about this article, but I thought this was so good. So there is this article that says sitting is the new smoking. Okay, and I'm going to talk about this for a second, but then we're going to get into like the mind, body, soul benefits of walking. And I do want to say to the listener, basically, this entire episode, I just want to convince you that walking is the holy grail of everything ever, physically, mentally, spiritually. Like, there are so many routes that you can go. So
put in your headphones and go on a walk while you listen to it.
True. Oh my gosh, I should have said that at the beginning.
That's okay.
Maybe I'll cut that in later and be like, hey, this episode is for walking.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do want to read this, though, because this is crazy. So it says, sitting is the new smoking, by, I don't know what this article is from. Oh, well. Researchers have analyzed a total of 13 publications and found that sitting for more than 8 hours without any physical activity is associated with a mortality risk comparable to the cause by obesity and smoking. Does that make sense? So, yeah, smoking and obesity, the mortality rate is essentially more or less the same or whatever, which I thought was crazy when I read that. And I think when you think about like day-to-day life now, we are sitting so much more often than we used to because all of us truly, like back in the day, everyone used to be farmers. And if you didn't work, like you would die of famine or like you would have crops for the spring or the fall, whenever they grab these crops, I don't know. But I just was thinking about that, like, there's been so many jobs that have been overtaken by technology that used to be physical labor. And obviously it's like it can be looked at as a good thing as well, as like, you know, us being innovative and being able to grow more food for more people so there's not famines and stuff. But yeah, it's like the physical activity, that's why people didn't go to the gym. They didn't need 4 walls. They didn't need a $10 membership a month to move their body. They just like went on about their day and did their jobs. Like they just took care of their home. And I think it's just a way to be mindful of like, okay, how often am I actually sitting? And I think that's what I was thinking about too. So this is actually going to be a little tidbit, a little tip. What I do if I ever want to like really just scroll on my phone and like not do a whole lot of stuff, I make myself pace or stand while I do it. And it's just kind of like a mindful thing of like, okay, if I just want to check out, you know, if I just want to like whatever, go on my phone, surf YouTube, whatever, like I at least have to be walking or I at least have to be standing. Cause yeah, once you aren't as aware of it, it just kind of gets away from you and you just, you know, like sink back into your seat and then you don't even realize. But yeah, I want
to go back to what you were saying before you go too far about the how it's the new smoking. I'm like, that's so shocking to me, but also not shocking. And I like kind of want to touch on, why do you guys think? Because it's such a powerful thing. It's like, why do you think it's the new smoking? How do you feel like it's affecting the mind, body, and the spirit?
I mean, really, it's like what you're not strengthening shrinks, whether it's your physical muscles, your spiritual, your mental muscles. And that leads to heart disease and high blood pressure and all of those things that affect our mortality, right? Mm-hmm. I thought of this story when you were asking that question about my great aunt Adina. So it'd be your great great aunt Adina. She lived to be 100 years old. And I remember I went and interviewed her just for myself because I was so curious. You were there. Okay, I can't remember which kid it was. Oh, I'm sorry. It was, and to watch her at 100 years old, she was like 99, I think, when we recorded her. And to watch her talk about her garden and watch her walk around her room. And she took us out to the garden and jumped over the little ditch. And Kinley and I were looking at each other like, this is unbelievable.
And it was far. It was a far walk to the garden.
She's so vibrant. She's alive. She's aware. And it was such a beautiful thing. And Kinley and I remember talking, like, we believed that the reason is because she was up, she was walking, she's working her brain and her muscles. And so I guess that's a kind of a long way of saying, why do I think it's, you know, akin to smoking? Geez, we're contaminating our body with different kinds of toxins if we're not moving through them, I guess.
How do you feel like it affects the mind? I'm curious from a mental performance standpoint.
Yeah, well, same thing. Our brain shrinks if we don't use it.
Like it actually,
like I read
it's the mid-cingulate cortex, right? Anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
Whoa, good, go Brighton. So the part that I read, a recent study that I read, it said that they did a study where older adults walked 3 times a week for 40 minutes for 6 months, and their hippocampus actually grew by 2%. Why does this matter? Because that's where our memories are.
I was going to say, I learned that in yoga teacher training.
Yeah, it's so fascinating that we think we have no control over this brain in our heads, but we do. Walking alone builds our brain, and, you know, it's natural to start forgetting things as we age, but why not to do something that's so simple to protect ourselves?
You know, on that topic too, because so actually this is great because I was going to ask you guys, like, what are mental and spiritual ways you think walking helps? Because I feel like I could list so many, but on the mental side, this is what I heard or / learned. There's a really fancy name to explain what I'm going to explain, but I can't remember. Basically, when you do unilateral movements, it really helps with your brain focus, but then it also helps emotionally. And I can't remember I don't know the science well enough to explain what I'm explaining, honestly. So just everyone listening, I really don't. But it was basically saying, like, because your eyes do this weird movement back and forth, and it happens in EMDR, it happens with dancing, it happens with walking. There's another one. Oh, REM. When you're in REM sleep, your eyes are moving back and forth, and it's this certain type of like circuit thing that's happening in your brain. And when that's happening, your brain's able to process things more and easier. And there's all these studies to show like, hey, your mood boosts after you walk, and you can think through problems way easier after you walk or after you work out. And it is that like unilateral movement. And so there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of people that say like, oh, running saved my life. I love running. It helped me work through trauma. It helped me, work through all these like emotions. And I think this is a little bit newer, but I think that is the correlation between it all is like do you know what I'm talking about?
Even Tammy, I have a friend that has a nonprofit, and it's where she takes horses and she puts kids or adults that have been on trauma or they have any kind of challenge, and she puts them on the horse, and the horse's legs going back and forth and how the body of the horse moves, and how the person sees it heals the body and the brain as well. So there's lots of cool science. I'm like you, where I couldn't just pull out the brain systems, even though
I do know.
Okay, go for it.
I learned this in my teacher training for yoga, that one side of your brain, it's opposite. So in the brain, it's the right side is your feminine and the left side is your masculine. Right side is like logic. Left side is, wait, let me say it right. Yeah, no. It's so hard because it crosses. One side's logic and one side's emotion, right? And then when they cross in the body, when we're walking, it's tapping into both. So it's like in EMDR, you're processing the memory through logic, but also emotion shows up, but you don't get stuck in one or the other, because when hard things happen, sometimes we like shut off emotion and just go to logic to survive. And then other times we go to the emotion and we get lost in the emotion and we can't just like logically process it.
Yeah.
Where EMDR is keeping you tapping between the two. And I'm sure that's just like walking, like it keeps you in both.
No, that totally, that makes sense. I know, again, I always say like, I'll pull the study, who knows? But I know I've seen it well enough to know. And then anecdotally, it's like, I know that after walking, I feel so good. And this is actually a good segue into something else that I wanted to touch on for 2 seconds. So, so there's this book called Stillness is the Key. It's by Ryan Holiday. Have you guys read that book? Okay. It's so good. And he has like tons of other books. He's the one that teaches like stoicism and stoic philosophy and stuff. But he talks all about how stillness is the key for life, for everything, for your job, for whatever. Our brains are moving too fast all the time. And so he talks about like why. He actually talks about successful people and then what they did in their personal lives. And a lot of it was like very mindful activities, very still activities. So I loved it because in his book, he talks about walking. He has a whole chapter on walking, and he shows all these successful people and how many walks they did. And I just like want to touch on a few. There were so many more in the book. I actually wish I should have just brought the book and like highlighted it, but I'll just tell you. So Friedrich Nietzsche, he's a philosopher, right, Mom?
I don't know.
Nietzsche. So I've actually dabbled into his books, and he's really good. But he says, all true great thoughts are conceived while walking. And then Beethoven took long walks after lunch to think through compositions. Charles Dickens walked up to 20 miles a day in London, used walks to observe people and fuel his writing, which I do a lot for like even content and stuff. Steve Jobs was known for walking meetings, found walking useful for problem solving and brainstorming. One more, Winston Churchill took frequent walks to break from work and clear his mind, which I thought was so cool.
I love this. Were you going to say something? Go ahead.
I just read another research study about how walking actually raises your creativity. Yeah. And that's just the very simplest way to say it. But when I was walking every day as a mind clearing meditation in the morning, I was getting so many downloads and ideas that I was stopping to write it.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Yeah.
I kind of had to like, okay, just wait till you get home to write it down. It's okay, because it was interrupting my actual walks, but it does get the brain flowing in a different way versus like me right now. I sit and read and research for hours sitting, which totally is contradictory to everything I'm studying, is sport and performance psychology. And I'm like, how does this make sense that I'm studying sport and performance psychology while I'm sitting here and becoming more and more unhealthy? Which is why when I decided to go into the PhD program, I'm like, I have to make a promise to myself that if I'm going to study these things, I need to use it in my own life, which is why I wanted to study it in the first place.
That's actually what I was going to say is it's a moving meditation. And that's what people call yoga. Is a lot of people can't sit still. But yoga, the reason people are so drawn to yoga is because your logical brain can only focus on one thing. So when you're doing a pose, you're focused, and then your subconscious is dropping in all those downloads, and they call it a moving meditation.
Yeah.
And walking totally is one.
Yeah, no, that's what at least I've noticed in my own life is before walking to me and anything like that was like getting in the amount of steps that I needed for the day, right? And we'll touch on this. We'll touch on the physical side and the health side of everything. But yeah, walking to me at first was like, okay, I got to hit my 10,000 steps. I need to do my 10,000 steps. And then I noticed like every single time I did that, it was like brisk walking. I was just listening to music and I like wanted to get it over with and all this stuff. And the walk felt like it took longer. And then I've noticed like over time, because I'll take a walk mostly every day. And over time, I've like fallen in love with it, that now I'm like, again, I'm writing all these ideas on my phone and I'm like doing stuff. But really, it's such a meditation to me that I could walk like 4 or 5 miles. And it took, in my brain, it felt like less time than it was when I was just trying to hit the steps for the day.
Because you were present?
Yeah.
Like it's because you're present?
I think it's because I was present, but again, I always go back to like enjoyment. When you're enjoying something,
not like I should be doing.
Yes, like when you're enjoying anything, any exercise, any movement, any practice at all, time goes by because you're having fun, you know, and you're like enjoying it, and then you'll do it more often. And so I think that's a good reframe of anything you do in life, is like do it because you enjoy it, or find ways to enjoy it because you're going to do it for longer and more consistently if you do that. But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, something I do when I'm on walks, because my brain also floods with ideas, I just audio text. So I'm not like writing it down. I'll just like tell myself I can't look at my phone, but I'll just hit it and just start talking, and then later I go back.
That's
and I'm
a great idea.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah.
This is actually another thought I had with what you were saying with you're sitting so much because of research and all this stuff. So I feel the same way, or I guess I used to feel the same way all the time because of content. I'm editing for hours. I'm sitting for hours scripting. I'm all this stuff. And this is where you have to get creative, and it obviously doesn't work for everything, but I will go to the gym almost every single day. And I actually have like 2 blocks of ideas for walks. It is either I'm walking because I'm working and I don't want to like just be sitting. And so I'll bring my phone and I'll bring an SD or like it's an SD card reader, and I'll edit on my phone, even though it's a little less convenient because it's a smaller screen and stuff, like, or I'll script my YouTube videos on my phone as I'm walking on the treadmill. And that's not a present walk. I'm not walking to do meditation, whatever, but it's like, oh, I have to do all this stuff on my phone. I have to write on my phone.
Still healthy.
Yeah. And like, I've actually really like have ended up liking that a lot. But then I do have to sit there and be like, okay, I really need a walk because of meditation. So like, I need to get my stuff done. So I don't pull out my phone as I'm walking and I'm like, oh, I should just get this done right now. And that's kind of my struggle now, is like, it's the time blocking of, no, I just need this walk to be a walk, to be present. But with like reading, I literally bring a book and I read it on the treadmill, and or I like I like just do all the work I can at least on my phone. And I feel like that even for the listener listening to this, like, you have to get a little creative with how you're doing it, and just think about the tasks you have to do while you're sitting, and maybe there's some way that you can get some movement in while you're doing that.
And it takes a lot of mindfulness too, because like, you have to know you have to check in with yourself to even know, okay, am I wanting to listen to a podcast and walk the dog and go on a walk?
Yeah.
Like all these things to check the box. Like, what do you need that day? Is it, okay, I need to multitask while I'm doing this, and that's what health is to me today? Or is it, you know what, all I want to do is grab my phone to distract myself. I'm going to turn it off and have a walk and listen to nature.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it takes presence.
I can't help but think of you guys when you were little kids. It's like we ate and you're like, going outside to jump on the trampoline, Mom? I'm like, okay. Or like, you know, we go to the park and you're like, and naturally just run to the playground. Nothing is as planned, right? When you're a kid, it's just you intuitively follow what you need. And I feel like we grow older and we have schedules and things that we have to get done, and we forget to just kind of listen and act when we need things like kids.
It's true. You know what? This is a little bit of a topic we should talk about later, but that is something I've learned a lot. So there's all these societal things when it comes to health that are like checking the boxes, or certain times you have to do certain things instead of listening to yourself. And so there's a lot of people, me included, for example, it'll be like, oh, I have to eat this portion because that's what I put on my plate. So I'm not listening to my fullness and hunger cues. I just eat this portion. Another one, I guess, to do with food as well is like, oh, it's dinner time because it's 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. So I have to eat right now. Or it's breakfast, so I have to eat even if I'm not hungry, or even if I'm stuffed still from, like, you know what I mean? And there's so many things like that. I'm only thinking about food right now, but there's so many more like
Shoulds.
that.
It's all the shoulds of like, I should be doing this.
Yeah, because if society
says so.
told me that the time is now to do that. And I just think if you're aware of all of that, then you can break the rules and talk about how you like to do stuff in the day. Because
Well, and
Go
to
ahead.
become aware of that, you have to become aware of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's an inner work. I'm actually going to talk about this next week or in 2 weeks. Whenever I do my episode, I'm going to talk about AI and how to trust your intuition over AI. And I wanted to talk about, like, so many people are going to just, like, look up, like, okay, what's the best place to eat around town? Yeah. And it's like,
what do you want?
okay, they give you all these sushi restaurants, but you hate sushi, but you go because it was the best reviewed in town.
Yeah. That's actually, it's so good. That's so good. I could think about 30, 40 more. It's any of the morning routines.
Yes.
You and sorry, this is such a tangent. Let me concise this. Basically, there's this quote that says, you don't need to have an ice bath, to journal, to meditate, to go on a walk, to then get work done, to be successful and to get work done. Like, you just need to get the work done, and you need to actually say no more than say yes more. And that actually flipped my mindset, because I used to be like, oh, well, I have to start my day with all of these things because that's what they say. That's what the health people say.
Yeah.
Which it's like, yes, I believe that, but I've noticed over time, like, no, I hate cold plunges in the morning and ever. Like, I really don't like it, so I'm not going to do it, you know? And that's controversial because people are like, well, do it anyways because it's hard. But it's like,
You got to listen to your body.
there's give and take with that. Yeah. Or it's like, oh, I tried journaling in the morning. Now I loved that, so that stays. But had I been like, no, I really want to go on a walk first thing in the morning, like, then go on the walk first thing in the morning, you know? Like, you don't have to, like, again, check
It takes accountability too of like, okay, there's the balance of listening to the body and then convenience, but we should do an episode on that sometime. Because that's
good.
I feel like we've gone all over the place.
Yeah.
Back
Did
to
you have
walking.
something to say? I know, back to walking, but did you have something to say, Mama? Okay. This is, we'll reel it in, but that was such a good, it's so good. I love everything that was said. So I just want to talk about, to end it, the physical, mental, and spiritual reasons why we should walk for the listener. This is really like, this whole episode is just to get a little pep in your step, you know? Like, if you have been thinking about taking more walks or whatever, like, I just want to encourage that. So I'll do the physical, and then if you guys want to spout off the mental, and I mean really any, but you can go ahead. So 1, physical benefits, heart health, sunshine. So obviously if you're indoors walking, you're not going to get this, but sunshine is so important for sleep. It resets your circadian rhythm. It helps get, is it vitamin D? Helps get vitamin D, all these things. Again, longevity, if you do, a lot of research shows like where the most walkable cities are, people tend to live the longest because it's the movement. So this is a good one. It's low impact and you could do it every day for however much you really want. Like there's not, I mean, to get the upper limit of like walking is like a lot of walking. And so I love this in a way of, if you do a good amount of physical activity already, and you're a little sore, I just love that, like, oh, walking's always there to be like, oh, I can still go on a walk, because at least for me, like, I've been trying to run more and stuff, and sometimes I'm just too sore, but like I do want to move my body. So I just feel like people discount walking and they're like, oh, it's just a walk. No, it's like every movement counts, you know, for your overall health, absolutely. And then I do want to end with a tip for me, and then we can turn the time over. But a tip for walking. So the best things I would say is try and get some sort of tracker to track your steps. I've been really loving that. So I have a Garmin, which my mommy gave me, and I'm so, I love it so much. But Garmin, Apple Watch, your phone will have a step count in it, so you can go to the health app if you have an iPhone and look at your average steps. So I always say, hey, look at your average steps. You might be surprised at how little steps you get. For reference, like, quote unquote, the healthy range of steps is 8 to 10,000 is like a really good range of steps. And when I checked my steps, like it was probably last year, I was averaging 3,500, and I was like, ooh. And that's actually, if you look, that's actually pretty average for the average American, is like about 3,500. So again, you don't have to jump to 10,000. That's a lot of steps you're going to realize, especially if you're not used to it. So I always say 2,000 steps at a time, and then hold that for 2 weeks and see how that feels. And then 2,000 steps again, and then try and get to the 8 to 10,000 step range. And this is always on average. So like, let's say like for 3 days you're sick, you know, like you don't have to get your steps, but yeah. So mental and physical reasons why you think you should walk.
Okay, I actually have a question. It just came to me while you're talking. Is that book you said on the book list?
Stillness is the Key?
Yeah.
I really hope so. Should we say we have the...
Yeah, we have a book list, and we'll link it in the show notes. But I'm curious if that book is on it. I know
will
that
check.
There's I love the book The Power of Now, and it's very similar. And so I know that that's on it, but if you haven't looked at our book list, it's in the show notes.
Yes, thank you. That's so good. Yeah, I wonder if it is. Stillness was my word of the year 2 years ago. So
I think it is.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't, but that'd be funny if it wasn't.
We can check out. Yeah. Okay. Tips for walking.
Reasons why you think it's healthy, like spiritually.
Ooh. Okay, so I talked about how like moving meditation, like a lot of our best downloads come through movement. But I wanted to even say, this is the first episode we've worn shoes. My mom likes to wear shoes, but I'm wearing shoes, which is a deal. But you can get barefoot shoes. And I know that's not as spiritual, but it can be, because the more your feet, the closer your feet are to the earth is grounding. And if you don't know what grounding is, it's okay. But in the most simple sense, we are like electricity. We're humans and we are buzzing. Like we have light in us. We're buzzing all the time. And when we put our feet on the ground, Earth's negative charge balances out our positive charge, right? Negative, positive. We're the positive. And it neutralizes and it calms our nervous system or calms down the energy. And even in construction, every electrical thing they also have a grounding cord into the earth to balance out the surge of electricity. So that's the same with our bodies.
That's cool.
Isn't that so cool? And I love to wear those like big cloud skyscraper shoes that are like the furthest thing from the ground. But I've actually been wearing barefoot sandals, and they're just super thin. And they're so awesome because your feet have 4 corners. I'm in a dress, so I don't want to lift my foot to show it. But by your toes, there's like 2 right under your toes on both sides, and then on both sides of your heel. And those are the 4 corners of both of your feet. And when you walk, it's super interesting to do walking meditations because you become aware of how you walk. And I think that's what my tip or invitation is start to be more mindful about how you're stepping, because the goal is to have all four corners touch the ground at the same time.
Interesting.
And when I started doing this back in the day, I was walking like a labyrinth, and we were doing a walking meditation, and I noticed I tiptoe. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm tiptoeing on this cement in the middle of nature, where else am I tiptoeing in my life and not fully just grounding my feet and taking up space and making noise when I walk?
I think that's my fault. Because I was always like, don't wake up the baby.
Totally, yeah.
That's actually funny.
But like, even I lived in a condo and I was on the second floor, and I would always walk through my house on my toes. I still do it.
Yeah.
And so my goal is always like,
That is interesting though. Just like
try to just like put your feet on the ground because it's grounding. So yeah, there's a lot of thoughts. It's grounding. I'd say that's how it helps. And then my tip is notice just how you step. Because on a physical level, it affects your knees, your hips, your back, your everything else. But you can change the way your gait walks with awareness.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that's physical too for like if you're trying to get into running and stuff. It's really good to walk mindfully to know your gait and stuff. That's good. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's good. And then Mom, I know we touched on like a lot of the mental side too, but if you have any more thoughts.
Yeah, I do. How you just brought up running, I think for some people, for me at least, running can seem so overwhelming. If you're not a runner, does that mean I don't walk? Do you know what I mean? It's like walking is so valuable, even though you might not be training for a running race.
1,000%.
Yeah, and I know you agree with that. I'm just thinking, I'm reflecting on myself. Like, I think I push it so far for myself. Like, well, if I'm going to walk, then I'm trying to be running. But walking is good enough in and of itself.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking that, and then I was thinking about, I almost want people to just be really honest with themselves for a minute and think of how much energy is going on in their body and their mind that they're not releasing. And I know there's a lot of ways to do that, like we've talked, but there's times when, and a lot of times in the most challenging times or exciting or whatever, where there's so much energy going on in my life, I don't know why, but I tend to like pull in and tighten and like,
Me too, yeah.
you know, I don't breathe, I hold tight, like I don't let my shoulders go up. I'm even doing it, talking about it. And walking releases that. It's just that simple. It's that energy that it's either sitting there festering or it's being released somehow.
Yeah.
And so I would
totally
just
noticed that.
Yeah. And so I would just say, tip is to walk. That's funny, but it's like, try it. You know, if you don't go for walks, try it, because there's nothing that will show you the release of energy unless you feel it for yourself. So I know it's not an extra tip, but really just backing up with what we've been saying already.
I love it. I think it's so true. I've noticed it in my own life. That's why I was like, no, I want to do an episode on this, because I really like, this is one of the main things I do every single day besides journaling, which I've actually been so bad at not journaling, but stuff that I've really noticed. So especially for the listener, if you tend to overthink, or you have a really overactive mind, or a lot of big ideas and you don't know how to do it, or you're lost, like, there's nothing better than going on a walk. And it's funny because like I will notice, oh my gosh, I'm walking really fast. It's like I walk as fast as my mind is going sometimes. And then by the end, it's like I'm slowed down. And then I'm kind of like, oh, this is nice. But at first I'm like, oh, I gotta like whatever. But last thought with both of you guys, because it's such the triad of the health. I saw this TikTok, which I loved. And this girl was like, this is about running, but it's like walking too. It's anything. She's like, every time that I'm running and I'm starting to like slow down, I'm starting to be tired, I just think of using all the negative energy in my body as fuel, and it's burning up within my body and like being released.
This is a real thing.
And
it's channeling energy.
Yes. And I have like, when I visualize that as I'm like biking hard, whatever, I feel it. I literally physically feel like a surge of energy, because I'm like, oh, I have more energy to like burn off. But yeah, it's like so therapeutic too, even just the visualization of it too.
I have something I want to say before we end it.
Yeah.
When we lost Spencer a couple months ago, a family friend, a I don't want to cry. When we lost him, it was so shocking, and it was so hard to move my body. And I was just thinking of the listeners. Like, there might be people listening who are going through something that's so heavy, and even walking sounds hard. Just like getting up off the couch sounds hard. And then they might be feeling shame that they can't even just do something as simple, quote unquote, as walking. And when Spencer passed away, I tried to get myself on a walk, and it was one of the hardest things to do, to get myself outside and just walk. And I would walk like down the street, and then I would just sit on the curb. And I like couldn't physically move my body because there was just so much in me that it was like everything just feels so heavy to even walk. And so I would sit on the curb, and I would stare at the trees, and I would get lost in my thoughts, and then I'd be like, get up and walk. And I would walk a little bit further, and then I would just sit back down. But for some reason, like, that memory is so, like, it's going to forever be a core memory for me, because in that moment I could have sat in the house with the lights off and just spun in my head, or I decided to try my damnedest to get out and just walk and move through it. And I know that it helped me so much, even though I was still spinning in my head while I was walking.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I need to speak to it just because it's Spencer and Melinda. But the ironic thing about your point is that Spencer had really long legs, and he walked fast. And nobody could keep up with him on the airport or when we would travel together.
I actually think I
because
remember that.
he was tall, and he has an agenda, and he's going somewhere. I actually, when we found out that about his plane accident as well, I ran up into the mountains, and I remember I had like not tennis shoes on, not hiking shoes on. I had like heels in kind of stylish looking boots, and I had a t-shirt, and it was snowing outside, and I didn't care because it was just like so big that I just drove up, got out of the car, and like ran. I just kept running up the mountain, and it's like, dang, we have these big emotions. We all deal with things that are so hard in all different ways all the time. And either it can sit inside of us and make us sick, or we can choose to find ways to just move it through, like I was saying. And walking is such an awesome way that most people can do. Not everyone, some people cannot. But if you can, it's something that most people have access to, no matter where you live, or there's always caveats. I can't help.
I know, I'm like, and if you can't walk, movement.
Like, moving it through. Yes.
Yeah.
And so
movement is medicine.
Yeah, movement is medicine. So
sort of like,
what a cool example. I mean, what cool lessons that Spencer teaches us even in his passing, right? It's like we get to take these hard things, learn and apply it, and that's all we can do. It's kind of a helpless feeling to lose somebody, and so to remember their strength and their lessons is such an honor to their time, I think, on the earth.
And they would want us to move it through our body.
Absolutely.
Not create cancer from sitting there with the grief and not moving it through the body. Like, the biggest tribute to anyone who's gone is to live.
Yeah. I love that, because I've noticed that in my own life. Anytime I'm ever struggling with anything, I think I'll just end with, I've never, ever, ever once regretted the movement, no matter how hard it was, maybe in the beginning to get there. I've always just, been so grateful. And then it reinforces the love for the movement the next time, because then you're like, oh, that's how I felt after. And then just like neural pathways in your brain, right? Like the neurons that fire together wire together. So it's like the more you do the thing, the more you're like, you remember that feeling. Oh, I'm glad I did it, even if I was feeling this way or something was happening or whatever. And then over time, like I always say this, like, and then your body actually starts to crave it. And it's like the intuitive thing of like, oh, this is going to help. Like, this will help with things. But yeah, I love that thought. Thank you for that. Thank you both. I think we're going to end it there, you guys. And to the listener, I hope all these things convinced you to go on a little walk. Or if you're walking right now, you get a gold star.
Let us know.
The nature around you. Yeah.
Tag us online.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
At I am Effervescent on Instagram.
Yes.
Tag us and show us.
I also want to end with this. And Kin, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you a question, or I could also do it too. Maybe I'll do it, but whoever wants to do it. I don't know what this segment is called yet, but at the end of every month, we are going to do kind of like a 5 to 10 minute tip, where it's just like a little tidbit thing to help you along your health journey. And I really want to do a walking meditation one. So whether Kinley records it, I record it, whatever. I've done one by Joe Dispenza before. I've done my own before and recorded it, and I really liked it. So
we did it in Mindscapes.
Yeah, that's what we did. Okay, yeah. We did it in our other ones too. So if that is out, the listener, as you're listening to this, if that is out, then go check that out. And if not, it will be coming in like 1 to 2 weeks. And as always, we love you guys. And until next time.
What do I do? I forgot.
Bye.